My cousin told me not to come to her wedding because I'd throw off the aesthetic. So I sent her a gift, a painting of myself, hung behind her during the vows. She didn't notice until the reception. Hey there. We're working hard to hit our first 1,000 subscribers. If you love true, emotional stories, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. Now let's get into the story. You know that specific kind of fake nice? The smile that's all teeth but no warmth? That's my cousin Lily. And last month, she sent me a wedding invitation. Except, it wasn't an invitation. Not really. It was a message that basically said, hey, we're getting married, but you're not invited. Love you though. And the real kicker? She said I wouldn't match the aesthetic of the event. Yeah, that was her actual reason. Let me back up. This isn't just a rant. This is a full story. And if you stick with me, I'll tell you how I got the ultimate petty revenge, using nothing but a paintbrush and a whole lot of nerve. Lily and I used to be close. Like kids who grew up in each other's houses close. We had sleepovers, shared inside jokes, did dumb dances in our grandma's living room during Christmas, the whole package. But somewhere between high school and adulthood, Lily got curated. That's the word I use now. Curated. Everything about her life became filtered, styled, cropped to perfection. She became one of those people who'd post a photo of their breakfast with #blessed and pretend it wasn't staged. She also started low-key treating people like props in her personal Instagram movie. If you didn't look the part, you didn't get the role. And apparently, in her wedding, I didn't fit the part. I'm not flashy. I'm not loud. I'm an artist, like, literally. I paint, I work freelance gigs, I wear secondhand jackets and don't always shave. I'm not Pinterest neutral tone enough, I guess. So when my sister texted me a screenshot of Lily's group chat, don't worry, she had her reasons. I saw exactly what Lily had said. He's sweet, but like, he'd ruin the vibe of the ceremony. It's going to be pastel tones, airy, elegant, and he always looks like he just walked out of a poetry slam in the 70s. Wow, let that sink in. This wasn't about me causing drama. I didn't fight with her. I didn't even ask to bring a +1. My existence, just me being me, was a threat to her wedding aesthetic. And here's the part that made something switch in my brain. She added, plus, I mean no one will miss him. That one, that line, that one hurt. I didn't reply. I didn't say anything to my sister. But I sat in my apartment that night, in silence, just kind of letting it marinate. I kept thinking back to when we were kids, playing pirates in the backyard, when Lily insisted I be the parrot instead of the captain. She always needed to be the center, even then. So I started to sketch. Nothing serious at first. Just a vague idea. A face, a posture. The expression you make when someone underestimates you. Calm, cold, collected. I stared at the blank canvas and thought, if I'm not invited to the aesthetic, maybe I'll become the aesthetic. That's where the plan was born. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why not just move on? Why not shrug it off and live your life? Because I'm not wired that way. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even bitter. I just felt like this moment needed something. A gesture. A punctuation mark. Something that would make her remember that I exist. So I pulled out the biggest canvas I had. 5 feet tall. Oil primed. Solid. And I started painting. Not a caricature. Not a joke. A real portrait. Of me. But not me now. Me the way she saw me. Mysterious. Dramatic. The moody, dark-souled cousin she thought didn't belong in her beige, flower-filled fantasy. I gave myself a formal pose. Half-turned, chin slightly lifted. Eyes staring just off-center. I made my coat deep green velvet. A single gold ring on one finger. The background was textured like an old museum painting, with shadows and warm browns and soft light. It looked regal. Intense. Unsettling, in the best way. Like I was watching you, but silently judging. By the time it was done, I stepped back and honestly, it was good. Like, freakishly good. I don't always feel that way about my art, but this one, it had presence. Now I just needed to get it in the building. Enter Jake, a friend of mine from college who now works part-time at this wedding venue. Not just any venue. The venue Lily was using. We grabbed coffee. I asked about his job. Slipped in a question or two about delivery protocols. Casual. No big deal. Then I showed him the painting. He laughed so hard he nearly dropped his drink. You serious? He asked. I want it behind the altar, I said. Jake stared at me for a second. Then he smiled. I think I can make that happen. The setup was simple. I wrote a card. To Lily and Jason. from a family member who couldn't be there in person, but is always there in spirit. No name. Just that. Jake arranged for it to be delivered with the other decor. I even wrapped it in light silk, the kind they use for dramatic art reveals. No one looked twice. It was just another gift. The day before the wedding, it was installed. Quietly. No fuss. Hung directly behind the altar. The ceremony would begin in 24 hours. I wasn't invited. I didn't need to be. Because in every photo, I'd already be there. Weddings are funny when you're not in them. You see them differently. Not through champagne goggles or fairy lights, but through small, brutal details. Like how the bride's smile falters for half a second when her curls aren't falling just right. Or how the groom keeps looking at the seating chart like he's trying to escape into it. But what really got me was how Lily didn't even look twice at the painting. The painting, the 5-foot-tall, oil-on-canvas monument of vengeance hanging right behind her during the rehearsal. Covered in silk, just like we planned. And she never asked. Not once. Let's back up a little. The night before the wedding, I got a photo from Jake. The portrait was up, hung dead center, directly behind where the couple would stand to exchange vows. There were flowers on either side of it, and honestly, it looked perfect, like it belonged. The frame was matte black and gold, timeless, regal, subtle enough to blend, dramatic enough to dominate. I stared at that photo for a long time. Not because I was nervous. I was savoring it. That moment where everything is set, and all you have to do is wait. My hands were steady. My mind was clear. Now, I wasn't going to attend. That was the whole point. She didn't want me there, so I wasn't going to crash it. But I didn't want to see it unfold. So I did what any slightly unhinged, artistically inclined cousin with a thirst for justice would do. I got a waiter's uniform. To be clear, I didn't fake my way in. I borrowed a real one. Jake pulled a favor and said they were down a server for cocktail hour. I wore the shirt, the apron, the whole thing. Mask on. Hair tied back. No one gave me a second glance. The thing about being invisible is that once you accept it, it becomes a power. I stood in the far back during the setup. Watched Lily flutter around, giving orders. Her dress was huge, princess style, poofy, and off-white with pearl accents. Her makeup looked airbrushed. Her bridesmaids looked exhausted. She didn't smile like someone getting married. She smiled like someone performing a commercial. When she glanced toward the altar, her eyes skipped right past the silk-covered frame. She didn't question it. Probably thought it was a decorative piece from the venue. Maybe a religious thing. Maybe just art. She didn't ask. The ceremony started right on time. I stood along the edge of the garden, tray in hand, pretending to check something on a clipboard. From where I stood, I could see the guests, the aisle, the altar. I could see her. Jason looked stiff but sincere. He kept fixing his tie, kept blinking like he was trying to process the whole thing. I don't think he knew about the painting, either. The music swelled. People stood. Lily walked down the aisle like she owned the world. And behind her, under soft lighting and 2 arches of baby's breath, was the shape. 5 feet tall. Silk draped over it. Silent. Waiting. They said their vows. She cried a little, very photogenic tears. Jason called her his soulmate. She promised him adventure and laughter and TikToks and sunsets or something. They kissed. Everyone clapped. The officiant pronounced it official. And still, no one asked about the painting. That was the part that amazed me. People saw it. They glanced. But no one said anything. Because it looked intentional. People assume confidence means purpose. And the portrait just sat there, confident as hell. After the ceremony, everyone was ushered to cocktail hour while the staff flipped the space for the reception. That's when the silk came off. Jake did it. Smooth, quick, one-hand motion. Off it went. No announcement. Just boom, there it was. And still no chaos. Not right away. The DJ arrived. People laughed, took selfies. The painting loomed behind the altar like a silent guardian. One woman, older, maybe Jason's aunt, even walked up to it and tilted her head. She said, "Now that's bold. Who's the artist?" Jake just shrugged. "Gift from a family member." Left no name. She nodded like it made perfect sense. By now, I was blending in. Pouring water, clearing glasses. One guy tipped me a 5 for finding his wife's clutch. And then came the photos. The photographer started uploading ceremony pictures to a screen for the reception slideshow. And that was when the cracks started to form. The first photo was of Lily walking down the aisle. People gasped. So pretty. The second photo, her and Jason mid-vows. A murmur started. Third photo, Their first kiss. And there it was. Clear as daylight. Me. Not literally me. But the painting. Staring. Regal. Right behind their heads. Someone said, "Wait, what is that behind them?" A girl in a green dress laughed. Is that a painting of a guy?" Lily hadn't seen it yet. She was laughing with a bridesmaid. Drinking rose. But then the fifth photo popped up. A wide shot. Them under the arch. And the painting, my painting, dominating the frame. She turned around, looked up, and froze. The best part? She didn't recognize it immediately. You could see her brain trying to process it. Her smile twitched. Eyes narrowed. Then her head tilted, just a little. And I saw the exact moment it hit her. She gasped, then whipped around toward her maid of honor. "Did you do this?" The poor girl looked terrified. "Do what?" She stormed over to the event planner. "What the hell is that doing there?" The planner blinked. "It came with the other decor. We were told it was a family gift." Lily's voice got sharp. "Which family member?" "That's not Jason's cousin. That's—" She stopped. And that was when she saw me. I wasn't hiding. I was by the drinks table, tray in hand. Our eyes met. And I smiled. Just once. Just for her. There's something you need to know about oil paintings, especially the big ones. They're not light. That thing wasn't some dinky IKEA wall print. It was 60 pounds of hardwood frame, stretched canvas, and layered paint. It took 2 people and a ladder to hang it. We'd secured it into the wall with heavy-duty hooks meant for wedding backdrops. So when Lily tried to rip it down by herself, in 6-inch heels and a white corset dress, it did not go well. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Right after she spotted the painting, things got tense. Not loud, not explosive, just this quiet kind of panic humming under the surface. The guests were still drinking, laughing, half of them oblivious. Some noticed her frozen expression, but they assumed it was stress or nerves. She walked. No, charged. Over to the altar like she was on a mission. I casually stepped a bit closer, still wearing my server badge, trying to blend in while keeping her in view. She stood in front of it, arms crossed, lips pursed. I could practically see the gears turning in her head. She glanced around. No ladder. No staff in sight. Then she grabbed the bottom of the frame with both hands and pulled. Nothing happened. She tugged harder. Still nothing. Just the tiniest creak. At this point, a few people were starting to notice. One groomsman came over, clearly confused. Everything okay?" She snapped. "This wasn't supposed to be here." He blinked. "I thought it was part of the decor." She didn't respond. Just kept yanking at it. And that's when she lost her balance. She slipped on the hem of her own dress, staggered backward, and hit the side of the arch. A few flowers toppled. Her heel snapped. It wasn't a full-on fall, but it was enough. Enough to draw gasps. Enough to make everyone turn and stare. Jason came over, red-faced and flustered. "What are you doing?" Lily pointed at the painting like it had personally insulted her. "That is not supposed to be here." Jason stared at it, then squinted. "Wait, is that?" Then he saw me. I was still standing by the drinks table. His eyebrows shot up. I gave him a small wave. Now here's where things got real interesting. Jason wasn't mad. Not right away. He was confused. Curious, even. "Did you paint that?" he asked. I didn't answer. Just shrugged. Lily looked like she was about to explode. This is his idea of a joke. He's been bitter since I told him not to come. That got people talking. A few guests looked around, whispering. One older woman muttered. She uninvited her own cousin? Someone else said, "But it's a really good painting." And that was the nail in the coffin. You could see it in Lily's face, the slow horror of losing control of the narrative. She turned to the planner. "Take it down. Now." The planner, clearly trying to stay professional, said, "Ma'am, we don't want to damage the walls. That frame is bolted in. We'll need time." Lily wasn't having it. "I don't care. Get a hammer. Get something. It's ruining the photos." That was when Jason said the line. The one I'll remember forever. He looked right at her, calm as anything, and said, "Lily, you've spent the last 2 years planning every detail of this wedding. Every flower, every chair, every color. But you never asked how people felt. Maybe if you had, he'd actually be sitting here today instead of hanging behind you." The silence after that? You could have heard a champagne cork drop. I wasn't expecting him to back me up. I wasn't even sure if he liked me. But in that moment, something cracked open between them. She tried to save it. "You're seriously defending him?" This was sabotage. Jason shook his head. "It was a gift, Lily. You're the one who made it about looks and Instagram posts." She looked around, realized half the room was listening, and stormed off into the bridal suite. The DJ stood frozen. No one knew what to do. And me? I took a slow step back, slid into the kitchen, put down my tray. Jake found me a minute later, grinning ear to ear. "Dude, that was art." "Literally," I said. "I didn't stay for the reception. I didn't need to." By the time I left, the painting was still up, still watching. And Lily? She was nowhere to be seen. By the time I got home that night, I had 3 texts and 1 missed call from my aunt. I didn't answer any of them, not because I was hiding, but because I already knew the fire had started, and it didn't need me to keep it going. The painting did what it was meant to do, but the aftermath? That went way further than I expected. Let's rewind to the reception. I wasn't there for all of it, but Jake filled me in on everything. And when I say everything, I mean it, because after Lily stormed off, the whole event shifted. There's a mood that settles into a room when people stop pretending. That's exactly what happened. At first, it was subtle. Guests tried to keep the party vibe going. The DJ awkwardly faded in some music. People danced, half-heartedly. But the tension hung over everything like fog. Because everyone had questions now. Why did Lily uninvite her cousin? Why did he send that painting? Why was it so good? And why did she freak out that hard over it? Now here's the thing about weddings. Alcohol plus old family drama equals people talking. One bridesmaid, after 2 glasses of wine, told someone at her table that Lily had always had issues with her cousin because he never played the image game. Another guest, someone from Jason's side, said he heard Lily had curated her guest list based on aesthetic compatibility. His words, not mine. And then someone else brought up the group chat. Apparently, Lily had made a whole private chat where she ranked guests by how on brand they were. Yeah, the bridesmaids were listed by dress size and skin tone. There were screenshots, descriptions, comments like, "She's sweet, but I wish she'd lose 10 pounds before the photos." Somehow, one of those screenshots ended up in Jason's lap. From what I heard, he left the dance floor without a word, went straight to the suite. The music stopped about 10 minutes later. Then the DJ announced a brief intermission. I didn't need to be there to know what that meant. They were arguing. Later, one of the servers told Jake that Jason walked out of the bridal suite pale and quiet, sat down by the bar, and didn't move for a solid half hour. Lily didn't come back out. Instead, her mom, my aunt, started damage control. She pulled guests aside, tried to explain, said Lily was overwhelmed, that it had been a stressful few weeks, that she just needed space. But the guests weren't buying it. They'd seen what happened. They saw the painting. They saw the bride try to rip it off the wall like it personally offended her existence. They saw her husband defend the artist. No speech could spin that. And just to add fuel to the fire, the photographer was still uploading shots. Yep, he'd set up an automatic system to wirelessly send photos from his camera to a live slideshow on a big screen. And he didn't stop when the drama started. So as people sat awkwardly picking at their steak and asparagus, more photos popped up. Lily walking past the altar, eyes wild. Jason talking to her with his hands out, her pointing at the painting. It was a slow-motion unraveling, captured in HD. I didn't know all of this at the time. Like I said, I had gone home. I kicked off my shoes, made tea, and just exhaled. My phone buzzed once. A text from my sister. "You really did it. She's melting down. Jason's not even sitting at the head table anymore." Another buzz. "People are asking for your @ so they can follow your art account." Then another. "She called you a bitter freak with too much time and not enough talent." Jason heard her. He's done. I didn't reply, but I did open Instagram, and I saw something I hadn't expected. A guest, someone I didn't even know, had posted a photo of the painting. A wide shot. Lily and Jason at the altar, holding hands. And looming behind them, my portrait. The caption? "He wasn't invited, but he stole the show." That's when I knew this thing was out of her control now. It wasn't about me anymore. It was about her. Her behavior. Her obsession with the way things looked, rather than how they were. And that painting? That painting became the symbol of it. People weren't laughing at me. They were laughing at the idea that someone could be so wrapped up in aesthetics that they uninvited their own cousin, only to have him show up bigger than ever. The next morning, my sister sent one more text. "Jason's staying with a friend. He said he needs time to think." And then, just a few minutes later, I got a DM from Jason. It just said, "Can we talk?" When I saw Jason's message, I wasn't sure what he wanted. I half expected it to be some kind of apologize to her thing, or maybe just a vague "you took it too far." But it wasn't that. It was honest. And weirdly sad. We met at a little diner near where I live. He showed up in jeans and a wrinkled shirt. No ring, no smile. Just sat down across from me, ordered coffee, and said, "I don't even know where to start." I didn't say anything. Just let him talk. And he did. For a long time. He told me he had doubts. Not just day of jitters. Real doubts. The kind you ignore because it's too late to back out. He said Lily had been planning the wedding for herself since before they even got engaged. That the whole thing had become this performance, and he was just a prop. I felt like I was marrying a brand, he said. Not a person. Then he said something that stuck with me. "I didn't even know she uninvited you." That hurt more than the painting. I looked at him, kind of stunned. "You really didn't know?" He shook his head. "She told me you were traveling. Out of town. I found out the truth at the reception, same as everyone else." That's when I realized the painting didn't ruin the wedding. It revealed it. All the cracks that had been hidden behind flower walls and filtered photos came flooding out in front of everyone. And now, Jason was alone. At least for now. He'd moved his stuff out the morning after the wedding. Said he needed to reconnect with actual people. "I don't know if we'll stay married," he admitted. "But I know I need to figure out who I am outside of whatever that was." Then he smiled, just a little, and said, "By the way, the painting? That was genius." He paid for my coffee before I could argue. As he stood up to leave, he turned back and said, "You know, she still doesn't get it. She thinks everyone's mad about the picture. But they're mad about how she treated you." And with that, he was gone. Later that night, Lily texted me. The message was short, passive-aggressive, and exactly what I expected. "I hope you're happy. You humiliated me on my wedding day." I didn't respond, because by that point, she'd already posted 5 wedding photos on Instagram, and none of them had the painting in the background. But that one photo from the guest, the one with my painting, front and center, it was still making the rounds. You ever watch something quietly blow up from the sidelines? Like watching a match drop into dry grass, knowing there's no rain coming to stop it? That was Lily's wedding photo. Not her photo, mind you. Not the 5 carefully selected shots she finally posted with muted captions like, "Still processing the most magical day." I'm talking about the photo. The one taken by a random guest. The one that caught her and Jason mid-vow, sunlight glowing behind them, and me, my portrait, looming in the background like a judgmental ancestor. That photo hit Reddit the next morning with a caption that read, "Bride told cousin not to come to her wedding because he didn't match the aesthetic. So he sent this." It hit 30,000 upvotes in 2 hours. By lunch, it was on Twitter. By dinner, someone had memed it into a Renaissance-style oil painting battle. People called it the most elegant middle finger ever painted. Others said it was peak cousin core petty. Someone even edited me into the Last Supper. I couldn't lie, it was hilarious. But not to Lily. I know because she posted a story rant the next day. "This isn't funny. It was my wedding, not a joke. People don't know the full story. That painting was meant to hurt me." Comments weren't turned off yet. So, you can imagine. It hurt you because it had more soul than your whole wedding. Girl, you invited the aesthetic. He just matched it. Who ranks their bridesmaids by looks? The painting saved the wedding. She deleted the story within the hour. My inbox blew up. I got messages from strangers, podcast hosts, art accounts asking for interviews. And then came the wildest one. A gallery owner. Legit. Said they'd love to hang the portrait in a modern petty exhibition. I thought they were joking. They weren't. It's hanging there now. Right in the middle of the exhibit, under a brass plaque that reads, "Cousin uninvited. Oil on canvas. 2025. I haven't spoken to Lily since her last message. She never apologized. Never asked why I did it. But I don't think she needs to. Because everyone knows. The guests knew. Jason knew. The internet definitely knows. It wasn't about revenge. Not really. It was about presence. She tried to erase me. Pretend I didn't belong. And I let her. But then I painted myself into the one place she couldn't ignore. Right behind her. On her big day. In every photo she can't fully scrub. The one image from that wedding that people actually remember? It wasn't the cake. Not the dress. Not even the kiss. It was the cousin she tried to leave out of the frame. Staring out. Painted in oil and silence. And somehow, in the end, I fit the aesthetic perfectly. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day, and trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.